they were up by 10,000 plus net worth, pushing LGD's base, and they had a really farmed Luna, they had the Aegis, and they were pushing, and they got a set of racks, they went to another lane, and then they let's just say they stuck around maybe a little bit too long, because LGD, you know, they kept defending, and then eventually LGD won the fight, and they were able to push back and do a lot of damage in response. So again, it was a 10,000 plus net worth lead for Fnatic. It was looking like they're going to pull up a decent upset against LGD in game 1, but as the meme goes, the old 3-2-2 came about. A little bit of throw, is not going to lie, but obviously well played by LGD as well to hold off and eventually fight back and then win it themselves. So yeah, curious how game 2 actually follows up now after what happened there in that first game. So the drafting stage, again, how it works, we got 4th pick now on either side, and it looks like it's going to be a gyrocopter for Fnatic. So this is another thing we've been seeing a lot this tournament. IO gyrocopter. Ooh, a Tinker pick, by the way. That's fun. There's a lot going on here, but Tinker got a bit of a rework recently too, and I've yet to see Tinker personally since that rework, so I'm really intrigued now to see this Tinker here. But going back to the drafting phase, again, now we got 2 more bans on either side, and then it'll be the final pick for either team. So again, there's 7 bans in total. You see this middle bar right here. This gives you an idea. The red ones are the bans, so ban here, ban there, ban here, ban there, and then they start picking. They do 2 picks each. Then it's 5 bans, or excuse me, 3 bans each after that. Then it's 2 more picks, then 2 more bans, and then 1 more pick either side. So it really, with this ban pick state, it really helps diversify the heroes that we see from game to game between a lot of teams, because of how many, you know, different bans and picks can happen. So this is where the game starts, you know, obvious statement, I know, but it certainly is. And there's a lot of people that like to suggest, you know, games can be won or lost even after a draft, which definitely has some value in that statement. It is true for sure. Death Metal saying he's very hit or miss now on Tinker. Yeah. So okay, so IO gyrocopter, we'll start with there real quickly. Again, we saw a lot of this combo. I mentioned IO and how strong of a support he is, and the idea of IO is essentially he buffs the unit that he's attached to. He has this tether ability that he can just tether to anyone he wants on his team. It buffs them, it increases their movement speed, it increases their attack speed, and he can also heal them and give them mana back while he's tethered to them as well. So, and then he has a relocate ability. Yeah, again, very, very good. One of the heroes that he's seen with a lot is Gyrocopter for several reasons, but again, this is a combination that we see plenty of. So this lineup as a whole, especially now with the Slaughter on top of that, this is a very fast lineup that Fnatic's picking. This is a lineup that wants to catch you. Slaughter is one of these initiation kind of heroes, and what I mean by that, he'll look to get a Blink Dagger most likely, and which will allow him to get on top of people, because then he has an AoE stun ability, so he jumps in, he stuns everyone, and then his auto attacks, every 4th auto attack I think it is, he'll actually bash them to do even another stun and bonus damage. So he's all about getting up in your face, hitting you, and, you know, finding heroes like a Tinker on the other side. So the lineup, honestly, that Fnatic has, and actually Storm Spirit also very good for that. Storm Spirit, he literally zip, zap, zooms around the map. We'll see that throughout, but his ultimate, it's no cooldown, is he could just keep using it as long as he has mana, where he essentially kind of, not necessarily teleports, but he zips, if that makes sense. Again, we'll see the animation in the game, but he zips to a location to then that does damage if it hits people, but it also allows him to move very, very fast throughout the map. Now he needs mana to be able to do so, so we're going to see him get a lot of mana-based items as a result. But yeah, great heroes for catching a Tinker. So, you know, Tinker being picked already when you already had a Storm Spirit, a Pango even's not bad for catching him, and then the finish of the Slaughter after the fact. So again, I'm a little bit new to Tinker, but the thing with Tinker, what Tinker loves to do, I used to love to do, and I assume is at least still somewhat similar, he's all about so he basically has an ability that, or you know, he did get reworked though with the rearm, didn't he? So I'm not even going to suggest how he worked, because I honestly don't know what to expect with Tinker. How he used to work, he would essentially be one of these heroes that just constantly teleports around the map and pushes out different lanes. He's a very, very, very known as one of the most annoying heroes to play against, because he would, because of how his skill set worked, it would essentially allow him to teleport all throughout the map, push in lane, teleport back to base to regen, teleport somewhere else. And so as the enemy, you had to constantly be looking out for a Tinker anywhere on the map, basically. And if you catch him, you know, he usually would die pretty easily, but it's the catching him that's actually the very difficult task. I think he probably still plays similar, but he did get some tweaks more recently in a big patch that it changed him a little bit. So we'll kind of find out together how this Tinker is going to play now. Any comeback to Han? Again, I've been playing a little bit of Han recently, and potentially going to be playing more in the future. But right now, it's a Dota phase, guys. With TI happening, I'm having fun watching, casting, and even playing a little bit of Dota as well. So, but hit that follow button on the stream if you haven't yet, and you'll see, you know, when I may be even doing some other things. So right off the bat here, we see the early smoke. Some of these teams doing this. LGD smoking together. So again, that smoke of deceit, as it's called. It's an item where it turns yourself and as well as allies around you invisible. It increases your movement speed, and it allows you to kind of get to locations. It allows you to get around a ward of sights, basically. However, when you get close to an enemy, it'll expose you. So you're only invisible until you get nearby an enemy hero.
30 seconds.
So again, it's good for getting around like ward of sights, but if you run nearby an enemy hero, you'll become exposed, and it's not doing much there. What is that noise? Why am I hearing like cheering going on?
The battle begins.
So they actually put like cheering in the game itself? I heard something about the cheering and how it's kind of annoying. Also, why can I not control? What is happening right now? There we go. Sorry, I'm just really confused as why I'm hearing this constant cheering going on. You guys hear that, right? That was a Terrorblade going down, by the way. Click on the team to cheer for the team? What does that mean? So is it just like people constantly cheering for them? Is that what that means? Dear God, that's annoying. Anyways, is there any way to turn that off? I mean, it's literally tidying the game sound, so I can't turn it off. It's to make up for not being able to have an audience. I mean, that's fucking awful. Like, I understand. Okay, pumping in audience noise. It's not the most radical thing ever, and I can completely understand why production would want to do it. But one, you only do it when there actually would be a live audience there in person for like the main event. But two, don't do it. You also have to be, you know, careful how like right there. That was just way over the top. Like they were just constantly applauding when literally nothing was happening at that point anyways. Like it was so obviously fake. But then also if you're gonna have it in game especially, you have to have it toggleable. Like you have to have it where I can turn that shit off if I don't want it. Like obviously on the stream I completely understand. Anyways, that's a tangent, I know, but if that's really what they're planning to do, I mean, we'll see throughout this game how it sounds. All right. Anywho, so the lanes are about. So Io's actually going to be paired up with the Sardar early on. So although later on throughout the game, I fully expect Io to be with Gyrocopter, of course, as we get a little bit more out of the laning phase because that's the tether target that he's looking to enhance the most. But early on, they wanted Io up here with the Sardar for the laning purposes because their other support is actually a Pango, who is a melee hero. And they didn't want a double melee top, which is completely understandable. That's kind of a very basic strategy. It's not necessarily 100% what you want to do every game, but as by the way, yeah, mid kill. Wow, Tinker solo killing the Storm Spirit. Okay, so yeah, he no longer has March. He has this defense matrix now, and he gets March with Aghanim's Shard. That is so weird. But yeah, Tinker getting a mid kill solo. Very, very good boost for him. But yeah, going back to the point I was going over there, a very basic concept as far as the laning phase, whether if you're going to be playing the game or even if you're watching matches. In a 2 versus 2, whether it's a top or bottom lane, usually you want a ranged hero and a melee hero as your dual lane. Not necessarily all the time again, but that's kind of like a general concept. So we see right here the IO paired up with the Sardar because IO being ranged, Sardar being melee. IO's able to harass, in this case, the Terror Blade if he gets by, or even the other support. On the other side down here, Gyrocopter being a ranged carry, you know, pair him up with the melee support instead, so they have that kind of ranged melee combo going. Another kill middle lane, by the way. Oh my gosh. I mean, we're not catching them, but I tweeted that you had no crowd. I wish I had no crowd. I mean, it's literally in the game right now. I'm like, again, unless I'm missing something, I can't turn that off. Like, it's still happening. Yeah. Like, that's annoying as hell. Well, we'll try to manage with it again. If it's gonna happen, it's, you know, I guess we gotta get over it. But anywho, but yeah. So again, because of the draft, it's that's why Fnatic. I'm guessing that's why they chose to lane like they did, to have that ranged melee combo in each of the lanes. You see up here is they're trying to go for the IO. Now Terrorblade, this is another kind of interesting carry. We didn't really get to talk much. We didn't get to talk about him at all yesterday. As Elder Titan goes down there. So, good turn by Fnatic. But Terrorblade, we saw him in that range form, what's called this Metamorphosis. So, without that, he's a melee hero. He's a melee hero that is somewhat illusion-based. He has this reflection ability, or excuse me, conjure image more so, is where he creates, basically right there, he creates an illusion of himself. He uses it to help farm. We'll see him maybe going to the jungle sooner than later, and he'll farm there. But his Metamorphosis ability is what really makes this hero. It's a long cooldown, 155 seconds, especially for being a basic ability, but it's because it's very powerful. It makes him range, it increases his damage, it increases his attack range, obviously, and it'll last up to 48 seconds when maxed out right there. So it's he is one of those cooldown based heroes with that in mind. So kind of like the Faceless Void that we talked about yesterday with the Chronosphere. If that cooldown's not up, you're usually not looking to fight with them. So that's something where we're going to have to look for on the dire side for LGD, is that if Metamorphosis is up, they're probably going to be fine fighting. If it's not, then they will want to avoid it at all costs. Disruptor, by the way. Looks like he got a little curious what was going on over here with the stacking and ends up paying for it with his life. So I was trying to help Storm Spirit maybe recover a little bit after dying twice in the middle lane. But yeah, so we see Terrorblade though, sure enough, he's in the jungle now. He's actually going to use his Metamorphosis, and he's going to farm up some of these stacks here. But it also goes back to the point that this is also a carry hero that he needs time. He'll need time to farm. He wants 2-3 items before he's going to feel really comfortable about taking a team fight. And then again, Tinker, now, like I said, he did change slightly, but I believe the concept is probably still going to be pretty similar on Tinker, where he's also one that's just going to be annoying throughout the map. He's going to be porting places, maybe pushing in lanes, maybe even moving with the team, with the Magnus, the Elder Titan, and kind of play that 4-1 strategy around the Terrorblade is also very possible. I'm pretty sure they didn't add a crowd slider in the option. No, they did not. I was looking at least, and I didn't see it. We see him up here at the top lane, yeah, doing some harassment to Sardar. But with this keen conveyance ability, he's actually able to target somewhere, or excuse me, teleport somewhere. And then yeah, so he still has rearm. Okay, so rearm is what really makes this hero. Rearm, it takes the cooldown off of all of his abilities after he activates and uses it. It's a 3.5 second channel, but when he uses it, everything goes off cooldown. And now he has his teleport ability, where before he actually had to get teleport boots, but now he just has a teleport ability, so we see him right here. Now he's going to teleport somewhere else. He's going to the bottom lane. So yeah, he still has that concept. Bottom lane, speaking of it, going to laser in, trying to get the kill on a Storm Spirit. They've already lost Pango, and they are going to lose Storm Spirit as well. Disruptor will go down too, so at least they get a little bit of a response. But this Tinker, as soon as he hit level 6, that rearm came online, and now he's starting to move around and get very active. So that's something to expect to see more and more of the Tinker hero. And yeah, again, it goes back. This is going to be that 4-1 strategy being ran by LGD, because you see in the meantime, Terrorblade, he happens to find a double damage rune. He is just going to sit in the jungle and farm, push out a lane when it makes sense. But he wants, again, 2 or 3 items before really looking to fight. God, nothing to say is just going off, by the way, on this Tinker. He's already got 26, so he's going to buy a Blink, and then he has an Ag skewed up, which it is the laser buff still, it looks like. This is fun to see, though. Again, I haven't seen a Tinker since the changes, but oh my gosh. This is kind of crazy. Like, it seems like Tinker got a pretty big buff from what I'm seeing here.
Over here now.
And how he works.
Middle tower is under attack.
I mean, obviously it helps, too, that he got 2 kills onto Storm Spirit in the beginning. Okay, so we see right there, that's actually kind of a fun thing what Tron did. I mentioned yesterday with the Manta style item where you kind of splits up and it creates 2 illusions of yourself when you activate it. We saw somebody use it as a disjoint against an ability, a projectile yesterday. Kind of talked about that mechanic. So Lightning Ball, or Ball Lightning, the ultimate of Storm Spirit, which zip-zaps him around the map as mentioned, he actually used it right there to disjoint the rockets that were coming in. So that's actually kind of a clever mechanic that you can take advantage of on a hero like a Storm Spirit, that essentially makes him invulnerable while he's in that state of Ball Lightning, and thus he's able to disjoint those incoming abilities. So again, there's definitely some fun mechanics like that in Dota as well, that certain heroes and obviously certain items can take full advantage of. So Gyrocopter going first item Chrysalis. Now usually the build that we've been seeing on a Gyrocopter is yesterday, and what has been fairly typical for recent history is the early Aghanims, which provides you that side gunner. But it doesn't look like Gyrocopter's interested in going that direction, at least right now. He's not. That's not towards an axe, is it? No, I think he's going like a Yashin axe. So he's. But Chrysalis, this actually gives him a crit chance, which again could still certainly make sense. And the flat cannon being those AoE attacks, especially with the IO tethering him, he still has a lot of potential to do plenty of damage. But a slightly different build from the Gyrocopter than what we've been seeing. The downside of this is he is a little more vulnerable. The Aghanim Scepter, it does actually bulk you up quite a bit life-wise because of the raw stats it provides. But IO, he is going much more for just pure damage. And perhaps that has a lot to do with how they want to play this. So we talked about the 4-1 strategy of LGD already. Again, as in a lot of games, if one team's running a 4-1, the other team tends to run more of an aggressive lineup, an aggressive strategy, wanting to maybe finish the game sooner than later, not letting, in this case, the Terrorblade get enough farm to take over the game. So, with heroes like the Storm Spirit, again, the Gyrocopter final pick, especially paired with an IO, Fnatic certainly has a lineup that is set up to start getting going maybe in the next 5 minutes here or so. But to LGD's credit, they're playing very well around the Terrorblade right now. Again, nothing to say on the Tinker. Is certainly doing his part. And he is up there with the best farm in the game. In fact, all 3 cores on the LGD side, the cores being the heroes that usually tend to focus more on farm so they can be impactful throughout the game. They have 3 of the 4 are top farm in this game right now. I guess Slaughter's also up there, but you get the point. Magnus, again, one of these heroes that's all about initiating with his ultimate reverse polarity. He jumps in, he pops reverse polarity, it pulls at everyone around him and stuns them for a 2.75 second duration. And they're going to catch IO here. IO, unless he can tether to somebody, maybe get the purple. Who is that? Slaughter? Get the Slaughter! Oh, he got glimpsed back. And down he goes. Glimpse, a very strong tool. That's this ability right here on Disruptor. So 4 seconds ago, wherever you were, it'll port you back to that place. So in that case right there, as Isle's trying to run away, it's a great tool for catching people. And also because of the range. You look at it, so this green circle that's around the hero when you highlight an ability like this, that shows you how long range the ability is. So like, you know, for example, like Elder Titan with his Echo Stomp, it's much shorter than what the Glimpse is. But Glimpse, you're looking at, it's a very, very large radius, and it even gets bigger at level 4 of the ability. What's up, Anovka? I do apologize for the occasional coughing. Again, even this, I've been getting over a cold. This morning, I actually thought I lost my voice. I'm not going to lie, but Naturally, as I started to wake up, drink some coffee and stuff, it got a little bit better, but I do feel actually a bit better today. A little bit of a cough, a little bit of tickle still, but wish you good in casting Dota more. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens, QB Dota. We'll see. Thank you, Noob. I appreciate that. Thank you. But, yeah, with this in mind, guys, this is an interactive stream and cast right now. If you have questions, feel free to ask questions. I'll do my best to answer. We can figure out answers together. And, again, the point of this stream is not only to, you know, because I love watching Dota and with TI happening. It's, of course, great. But it's also to kind of learn together, but, you know, maybe I can help educate as well. Because I know not everyone knows all these things about Dota. And it can be tough to watch the more professional broadcasts when you maybe aren't as familiar with how things work. So we're for the noobs, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Being a noob is fine. You all got to start somewhere. And apparently I got to start catching kills because nothing to say goes down. So that was the IO relocate. So IO, again, very powerful support hero for a couple of reasons, but this is one of the reasons where he tethers to somebody and he pops that relocate, and they can port somewhere, as actually Slaughter, that they're trying to go on him. But yeah, he ported the Slaughter up here to the top lane to help kill that Tinker. But after 12 seconds, he gets relocated back to where he came from. He dropped a tether, though, because Slaughter wanted to stay top lane, and so Jabs on the IO is the only one that came back. Again, that can be a little bit dangerous depending on where you relocate from. We've seen a couple of times already where if the enemy team sees where you relocate from, they can sit on that spot, and then after the 12 seconds, they'll just jump you and kill you if you're not careful. So you got to make sure you're doing it from a safe location or not seen or whatever. So this Terrorblade, he picks up his Manta Style. This is the first item that he's looking for. To follow up this, I believe it could be a couple of directions. Maybe an Iascati, maybe a BKB, if he feels like it's necessary. BKB is also known as the Black King Bar. And so you'll hear me reference that a bit. And, you know, my wife actually recommended yesterday after listening to the cast that, because I use terms like that maybe be not familiar with, if you don't watch the game. So maybe we could do some chat commands that could help you understand, but haven't done that yet. But point is, Black King Bar, or BKB, is an item, one of the most popular items in the game, because it makes you immune to magic damage and magic abilities. Now, as we kind of talked about yesterday, Dota 2, Dota is a funky game. There's a lot of depth to it. There are, just because of an ability's magic doesn't mean it won't be able to go through BKB. There are certain abilities that pierce magic immunity. It will say on the description. We have a big fight, though, coming out right here. As the call down's going to come out, but two already dead on the Radiant side. Look at Tinker, he's on the up. He's just going to spam rockets up here. Disruptor losing on the dire side, but now IO, he's got nobody to tether to. 2 more seconds. Can he tether? No, he cannot. Gets pulled back, and down goes IO. That Metamorphosis, as mentioned before, if Terrorblade has Metamorphosis ready, this team is okay fighting, especially now that he has at least his Manta Style, and LGD is able to take that fight up at the top lane. Yeah, they're the ones that took that too. They smoked up as I was ranting on there. They actually smoked up to kind of sneak up on the Radiant side, and they end up getting the kill. So that goes to show you, just because you're running a 4-1 strategy doesn't mean you can't look to take fights yourselves, as long as you have certain cooldowns ready. And Terrorblade it goes back to the Metamorphosis. If that's ready, they may be looking for some fights. So Terrorblade does queue up the Eye of Scotty, by the way, which is, again, one of the items that's mentioned. Doesn't feel like he needs the BKB, at least yet. So I go back to the BKB point, or yeah, Shrunken Head is being pointed out if you're a Han player, viewer, or whatever. The same item, basically. There are several things that go through BKB. Things like Slaughter's auto attack bash, so like he can still stun him with the auto attack. However, the Slytherin Crush, the AoE stun that he does, it is not piercing spell immunity. As you see right there, it says pierce spell immunity. No. So it will not be able to go through BKB or Black King Bar, which means it doesn't work against it when it's activated. So BKB, it honestly does feel like it would be pretty good this game now that I'm really looking at these abilities and what the Radiant team has. But again, going the Eye of Scotty first, which is completely reasonable, as I even mentioned, as a possibility. for his next item. What I have Scotty does, as we do see a Roshan attempt here, by the way. This is big. The Radiant team, and even a double damage being picked up by Storm Spirit. So the Radiant team actually not necessarily sneaks in a Roshan kill, because they were seen doing it, but that's where a lot of information comes into play for these teams. And what I mean by that, I know I've said this now several times, but again, just to reiterate it, Terrorblade's Metamorphosis, a very long cooldown, 155 seconds. Fnatic, I guarantee you that was part of the logic as to why they felt comfortable doing the Roshan there, even though they knew that they were seen. Because without Metamorphosis, Terrorblade is likely not going to look to join a big fight, because he is a lot less impactful in what would be that team fight. By the way, a big initiation, but Slaughter gets away! He's going to manage to actually run away, and meanwhile, Tinker's picked off, and 2 more, and now Terrorblade's in trouble. He's got Metamorphosis, but obviously this is already a lost cause. Likely not going to use that cooldown. He will use a Sunder, which we'll talk about in a second right here after this fight ends. And Ame is going to be fine, but yeah, beautiful catch by Fnatic. They have the Aegis currently on Gyrocopter, choosing not to put it on Storm Spirit. That's a little bit interesting to me. Storm's considered one of the best heroes to have it on, but Gyrocopter is your carry right here, for sure. So also not the craziest thing ever. But yeah, so that was a good jump right there, and even though Metamorphosis was just coming off cooldown, again, the fight kind of broke out in a spot that maybe they weren't ready for. So, but we did see Tinker get caught. Like I said before, he is a hero that's very annoying. He wants to sit in the back, push lanes, and he can do it very efficiently. But if he gets caught, there's a good chance that you're killing him. And that's where Slaughter with that blink comes into play. So great initiation there. And Pango, we saw him rolling around with this Rolling Thunder ability, which is Pangolier's ultimate, where he turns into that ball basically, and he starts rolling around. It's a little bit hard to control if you don't practice it, but these Pango players, of course, not an issue. They will stun anything that they hit, and it kind of knocks them back. It does like a stun knockback. And they are also immune to spells while they're rolling, so you can't like stun them as a result. So yeah, when Pango's rolling like that, you kind of want to spread out and try to run away the best you can. But obviously Tinker wasn't able to do so, and it was a little chaotic in that fight. But yeah, going back to Terrorblade, who just got a Isaiah's got in, they're going to smoke here, it looks like. Or they're gathering up as if they were. But he's got Avaya Scotty, he's got his Metamorphosis, so now this goes back to LGD. They understand the information at hand. They understand that they now feel like that they're in a better spot to be able to fight. They want to take a fight, and you see that's exactly what they're going for up here as they head towards the top lane. But Fnatic also aware, well, no, they're going to get caught, and that being Slaughter. He gets pulled in, but Fnatic's like, you know what, Slaughter? We love you, buddy, but you're dead. Death is dead. So, good catch from LGD, and they're going to smoke up off of that. Were they seen? No, they were not seen by anything, so no ward spotted that smoke. LGD trying to catch them falling back, but Fnatic is actually still pushing this top lane as 3 of them. DJ, so what he's doing there, he's queuing up the Rolling Thunder and canceling it constantly, which is a animation cancel that you can do on a lot of abilities. That is fun to, not every ability, but the ones that you kind of channel up, you can actually, if you hit the ability, then you press S right after to stop it. It'll do that animation there. So they almost catch the IO. They cannot. Storm Spirit. Oh, no, Glimpse! Oh, no, he's dead. Maybe. Chuan, he's not silenced anymore. He has Ball Lightning, and he is actually out. They did not have a way to keep him in that Static Storm. Okay, so the Glimpse did catch him, but they were unable to capitalize. And actually, Disruptor's dead, and now the Radiant squad, they're coming back in. There's that Rolling Thunder. DJ is going to keep this done. The IO relocates in place. Raven's here on Gyrocopter. They want Terrorblade. They want him so badly. He doesn't have Metamorphosis, so they know that they're not looking to fight right here. Faith Beyond, he has this reverse polarity maybe to try to save the day. He's going to use it right there. The turn. There's the Sunder. And Terrorblade says, I don't need Metamorphosis. I'm an auto attack with you. Melee attacks, baby. Raven called down. It's not going to be enough. He'll go down, but he has the Aegis. You look at the reset here, DJ. He's going to try to help. He can't really. Raven, he gets pushed in. And Raven's dead. Io got there a little bit too late. Try to come back and save the day, but that's only going to cost him his life. As Io falls too. And now can DJ actually get out? Yeah, even if he does, it's still huge fire for LGD, and it's not going to be the case. He won't get out. So, couple things there. Again, good catch on a Storm Spirit, despite not being able to kill him. But I am a little curious as to Fnatic choosing to go so deep there, knowing that Storm Spirit wasn't with them, and whether or not that they were expecting him. He never came back. He never was there. He had to run back and regen. And he didn't have a TP because his TP just got canceled. So I guess he really wasn't able to get all the way back to the top lane to try to help the team fight. So I understand the logic that Fnatic had right there, trying to fight a Terrorblade with no Metamorphosis. But they did still have another big cooldown, and that being the reverse polarity. So another thing to keep in mind, obviously playing the game, is the bigger cooldowns on the other side, and know that there might be multiple of them. Just because one is used and maybe on cooldown as the Metamorphosis was, doesn't mean there's not others. So yeah, reverse polarity, another one of those abilities, as you saw in that fight, it can be a game changer. Without this ability, I think Fnatic easily wins that, and they come out on top. So a clutch play by Faith Beyond, but it goes back to the Fnatic side, and kind of thinking back in hindsight, all right, maybe knowing that was off cooldown still, probably shouldn't have gone as deep as we did. But either way, what's done is done, and now LGD is feeling a bit better. Oh yeah, we saw the Sunder once again use real quickly what this does. It's a fantastic ability, especially as a commentator, because we've seen so many moments where it can turn the tides in fights. He essentially swaps lives with somebody else. So right there, he was a little bit lower when he was getting jumped and chased down, but after the RP came out, you saw him full heal. Well, that's because he popped Sunder on one of the targets that got RP'd and still had a good chunk of life. They swapped lives. All of a sudden, Ame's full life, and the target that he chose was near dead, and that allowed also to clean them up and finish the job. So yeah, Sunder. There's a little bit of it's not necessarily a channel time, but if you're getting stunned or, if you're just about dead and you try to use it at the last second, it might not go off sometimes. The point is it's not instant. You need a little bit of a cast time on it. But if you can get it off in fights, there could be some big moments with it for sure. So we're definitely entering that phase of the game now, 25.5 minutes, where both teams it looks like they're trying to farm those next tier of items. BKB finished on Slaughter. We do have a BKB on Terrorblade now. So I think this is like the Holy Trinity, is a term I like to use, and I know others. In that he has 3 items now, the Manta Style, the Eye of Scotty, and the BKB, or the Black King Bar. With these 3 items, he's the strongest hero in the game right now. And knowing that he's only going to get more, he looks like he just finished a Chrysalis actually, so now he has even more damage output. Knowing that he's going to get more, that's the timing for Fnatic. That's kind of already passed, I guess is what I'm getting at. So yes, there's still a point to play the game, and they can certainly still win this game if you're Fnatic. But the timing of making this as easy as possible has now passed. So Fnatic, it's only going to get tougher from here as far as the game continues on. They do have a Gyrocopter with the BKB, and that's going to come into play right here, apparently, as Magnus jumped in, but they are not going to follow up. It was just Magnus. He got the BKB use. They're fine retreating. That is another strategy we'll see a lot of these elite teams do as well, where they'll go for a jump, if anything, not necessarily to get a kill, but just to get a big cooldown used, such as the BKB. So even though no kills happen right there, they're very satisfied that that was used, because that's actually another thing about Black King Bar worth pointing out. When you use the ability, it'll last for 9 seconds initially. As you see here on the tooltip though, every time you use Black King Bar, it goes down by a second in duration. He's now down to 7-second duration instead of the 9 seconds, and it goes all the way down to 6 seconds. It may not seem like a lot in at first glance, but in these team fights, another 2 to 3 seconds of a BKB is very significant. Terrorblade, by the way, he might be dead. Can he sunder? He couldn't sunder, so the lockdown was enough. They did a good job of also zoning out the enemies around him. And Chuan's going to pop the BKB because he got glimpsed right there. So he actually popped his Black King Bar in response to the glimpse. We saw the animation that ball fly away from him. That was a glimpse going off, but
Radiant's
before it
top
sent him
tower is
anywhere,
under attack.
he actually used his blacking bar, which made him immune to magic, which then made it so he didn't teleport. Kind of a small thing, but yeah, that goes back to the Sunder on Terrorblade. That as on paper, as awesome as a turnaround ability that is, if you're locked down like that, it doesn't matter. He didn't even activate the BKB or Manta style. He was just locked down the whole fight. So definitely credit to Fnatic. And because of these couple of kills, they get a free Roshan. And now another Aegis on Gyrocopter.
Radiant's bottom tower
Io, by
is
the
under
way,
attack.
gets the Aghanim Shard, which now allows his tether stuns enemies for 1.75 seconds. That's crazy. So this tether ability, if he hits enemies with the tether, if they walk through it, they get stunned now because of this Aghanim Shard that he has. Which I believe they just picked up from Roshan. That's what I'm getting at. Oh, bottom lane. Oh, they try to catch Tinker. They're going to get Magnus, though. Magnus going to make this take as long as possible. He actually used RP. Wow. So Magnus now doesn't have an RP. They come back. Okay, there's the relocate, though. It came back, remember. But the BKB teleport. And BKB used on Terrorblade, too. To try to get that kill. Ultimately results in nothing. Well, Fnatic, they're definitely winning these exchanges. Now, again, another BKB used for Gyrocopter, but he had to use it there to get out. So very worth it. He's down to 6 seconds now on the blacking bar. It won't go lower here, at least. So from now on out, he can use it, not necessarily worrying as much about what's going to happen. But now he has a Satanic. So that was another kill, by the way, by Fnatic as they find Y on Disruptor. So, but now with the Satanic, again, with this item, when you activate it, it gives you that 200% lifesteal. And especially with the flat cannon auto attack that's going in the AoE, he will basically be unkillable while that Satanic is active, and an IO tethered to him, by the way. So this Gyrocopter is getting very serious as far as being a threat. Now, go figure, as I talk about how this Terrorblade, he's got the Holy Trinity, and he's at a point now where it seems like that this is going to be a very uphill battle for Fnatic. They win Fnatic wins the next fight, and now Fnatic all of a sudden is snowballing and feeling good. But again, that goes back to, it doesn't necessarily matter what's on paper as far as what the theory of what should happen here. There is the execution factor, certainly. And it goes back to they stun-locked Terrorblade. They stun-locked Terrorblade without him being able to use anything, and they got the kill. They got him out of position. So that's to Fnatic's credit. And now this Storm Spirit's another hero that will actually scale pretty well, too, especially against the likes of a Tinker. Tinker, again, he's got all his maneuverability and very sneaky and very annoying, but Storm Spirit's one of the better heroes at catching him. And now with Storm Spirit having some solid farm, he's got the Orchid, which it silences an enemy for 5 seconds, and then it deals extra damage to them after that 5 seconds for damage dealt during that duration. But another good tool against a hero like Tinker with the catch, and they're going to join down here at the bottom lane. Oh, Slaughter's just going in. He misses the stun completely. Terribly. He's got Metamorphosis still. And you look at the spread from the Radiant squad. One of the backlines is just being annoying on that Storm Spirit. Meanwhile, another fight over here. Zinc is, well, they find somebody. Who is that? That's Pango. Let's cut off for the rest of his team. But again, Terrorblade popping that Metamorphosis, and immediately Fnatic, the rest of this team, is just like, this isn't worth it. Let's just run and let Metamorphosis duration run out. They are going to lose a tower. But it's going to wear out in the near future. So they do have a Satanic now on Terrorblade, so just explain that with Gyrocopter. Just as powerful on Terrorblade, certainly. And he's actually got a Shard kill. What does that do? Costs 20% of Terrorblade's current HP to cast. Dispelling Terrorblade and providing him 50 movement speed and 50 attack speed for 7. Wait, what? Oh my gosh. So that's interesting. So that stun lock that happened on him earlier, if he had an Aghanim Shard, he could have actually used this Demon's Seal ability, and he could have got out that stun lock and then popped his BKB. At the cost of 20% life, but that doesn't matter. So he actually has the Aghanim Shard now. So this is huge for Terrorblade. That's a really important item to have, for sure.
Dire's courier has been killed.
So yeah, Fnatic, if they get a nice jump on Terrorblade early on, they can't feel so confident that it's going to necessarily result in a kill like it did before. Pingo got his blink. Storm finishes the Shiva's Guard. Another interesting item. Zup, yeah, doing great. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. But Shiva's Guard, it provides a lot of armor to Storm Spirit, which you're dealing with a good amount of physical, I suppose, on the other side. Terrorblade definitely dealing a lot of physical damage. But it's also great as far as intelligence boost, and mana on Storm Spirit is important because of the reason of the Ball Lightning ability. That you need a lot of mana to be able to use this ability frequently in fights. But it also, when you activate Shiva's Guard, it pops this frost, animation around you, which then, as you see right there, it slows everyone around you for 40% movement speed. It's also great. It gives you vision as well, so it's also another tool that's great for trying to find a Tinker who might be hiding in the woods somewhere if you're trying to find him. So I'm sure another reason that he likes to have that item. Tinker's got a scythe, by the way. So this is another fun interaction with Tinker. I mentioned the rearm ability and how it takes the cooldown off, as you see right there, of all the abilities that he's used. It also works on items, by the way. So rearm, if he happens to sheep somebody, or scythe of vice, which is, we use sheep stick as another term that's used for it, but basically it turns them into a pig for 3.5 seconds. They can't cast anything, and they're a little bit slower. He can actually rearm after he sheeps somebody, and then rearm or sheep them again. He can literally keep somebody sheeped for infinite time, as long as he has the mana to do so, which with an item like Soul Ring that he also can rearm to use again, he essentially does. So, in theory, he could keep somebody locked down in a sheep forever. Obviously, in practical sense, that's not going to happen, but knowing that rearm also affects items, that kind of gives you an idea that of what the potential could be there. Fight. Ame. He got zipped past. He pops that Metamorph. But look at this. They just go in the back lines. They don't want Terrorblade. They want more. They want Elder Titan. They're going to kill him. Terrorblade's chasing them around. Oh, the big crits on a Pango. Oh, my God. That's why they don't want to fight the Terrorblade Storm Spirit. There's that sheep. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The Scythe lockdown. So just as Storm Spirit's great against Tinker, Tinker with a sheep now is great against Storm Spirit if he can catch him first. So it's really the game of who can do what first against one another. But yeah, it looked like that was going to be solved by Fnatic with the Tournament of Initiation, but that did not work out at all. And now LGD is just going to push this bottom lane. All three heroes do have buyback.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
But BKB is on cooldown for Terrorblade, but RP, no, not even needed. They just pull in the gyro. He's dead. The buyback's happening, though. As Storm's pretty hexed. Oh, man, he went in deep right there. No buyback for Storm now. But here's the fight back from Fnatic. Okay, Tinker did die. He is going to teleport back in, or it actually cancels. So Storm Spirit may have went a little too ballsy there initially, but I suppose that did allow Gyrocopter to get in there and then do his thing with that flat cannon auto attack, and who also has a Silver Edge now, by the way. Very interesting. Silver Edge, an item that provides the break effect, as I mentioned yesterday as well. Break, another kind of unique mechanic to Dota 2, where what that means when he comes out of an auto attack, he'll actually apply a break effect, which it disables any and all passives on the enemy hero, which on specific heroes can be very powerful against. We mentioned, Tidehunter yesterday, a Bristleback. This game, I don't know if it's necessarily used for the passive break. Like, I'm trying to think. I guess outside of Elder Titan's Natural Order, it doesn't really break much. Let me know if I'm missing something, guys. But maybe he just has a Silver Edge more as... Because on top of that, it also does the Invis, being built from the Shadowblade item, where when he uses it, he's invisible for 14 seconds, and he moves 25% faster. So certainly for the Invis factor is important too. And it provides, 60 damage at 40 attack speed, which raw stat-wise is really not too bad. So I think it's more the big picture here than specifically for the break effect. Unless I'm missing something very obvious.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Yes. Haha.
Tinker, so another very interesting item pickup. He's got an Aeon disc now, which... Wait. Does Silver Edge break Aeon disc? I actually don't know that interaction, guys. So again, the break effect, it disables all passives on the hero. Does that work against items on the hero as well? Because Aeon disc happens to have a passive ability which will pop a barrier that essentially makes them unkillable for 2.5 seconds when they drop below a 70% life threshold. Pango, he's trying to stop this, but he just dies instead, so he buys back. But you look at LGD, they're actually going to fall back for now. Potentially disrupting Scotty and Satanic. So it actually does work on items? I can't say I was fully aware of that. Interesting. Jump in, RP. Sauter, though, he's just going to run the other way, if anything, to distract, but he's dead for 100, but no buyback, they're trying to steal it. Who's going to get in? The Storm Lightning in! He goes on Tinker in the back of the instead. Juan wants to finish him off. Aegis picked up by Raven. Raven gets in. He pops a Satanic. And the turn with the flock cannon. You see, he feels unkillable. He finally goes down, but he's going to come right back up. Is there enough support around? Meanwhile, Tinker was able to blink away before getting finished off by the Storm Spirit, but no is the answer. Raven goes down again. It is just too much damage from LGD and too much coordination. And they get a 2-minute timer now on Raven. Playing the gyrocopter. So close to actually turning that for Fnatic. Yeah, that's something we see too with the stealing of the Aegis, essentially, is what that was by Fnatic, where you go to pick a fight right as Roshan's about to die. Because again, you don't necessarily care about killing the Roshan, it's what he drops after is what the really important thing is. So they got the Aegis, but obviously it wasn't enough still. It does not, apparently. Okay, so yeah, see, I didn't think it did. So yeah, it would only be against passive skills. But by the way, we saw the Aeon disc actually save the Tinker there as they kill Terrorblade. Terrorblade doesn't have a buyback. LGD wants to finish this here though still, and they still might be able to. The Terrorblade illusion is actually still pretty relevant. Doing some good damage, and with 4 dead and no buyback, it's just Pango. You see, he's going to do what he can to distract, but this is going to be another Tier 4 tower most likely. And once the Tier 4 towers are dead, now the Ancient is exposed. And that means you're going to attack the Ancient, which, welcome to Defense of the Ancients. That's the whole concept here. You try to kill the Ancient to ultimately win the game. And they're just going to call it GG because they realize it is actually over. So, whew, that was a good game though. Another fun one. We're getting some fun matches that we happen to be jumping in here and watching. So I don't know if that's just coincidence or that's just what TI10's all about. But these are some good games. But yeah, the Aeon disc, that item that I was going over, that actually saved the Tinker, no doubt, that last fight, because he got jumped by Storm Spirit initially. But Storm Spirit, after the Aeon disc popped, Storm Spirit wasn't able to finish the job. If he kills the Tinker there, then maybe they actually have a good chance to win that fight, but unable to do so. Unlucky. The Aghanim Shard. So I guess Aghanim Shard is definitely a meta thing now too, huh? This is an item that came out after I stopped casting Dota 2. And I got my full-time job there. But it's